वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह. Just a 5 moment let's start just to make our mind proper. एक ओंकार सतनाम करतापुर निर्भव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद एक ओंकार सतनाम करतापुर निर्भव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद ओंकार सतनाम करतापुर निर्भव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद ओंकार सतनाम करतापुर निर्भव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद ओंकार सतनाम करतापुर निर्भव निर्वैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद. गुरु जप आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच. Guru ji, Guru. So today's lecture which has been given is roots, and this is a start of the small quote from Alchemist. If you don't stand for something, you may fall for anything. जे कोई भांडा ही खा लिया तो वो भांडा किसने भरना ही है. So today we're going to talk about roots, and please try to please pay attention. We hope you take easy good night. Try to share them when you go away from Khalsa camp. हम तो कभी go back from camp माँ बाप उसके ई सीखिया और some of my cousins ई सीखिया camp तो don't say हम कुछ नहीं सीखे. Try to take away something. Probably I ask you questions what you learned from Bhai Singh's lecture or Bhai Singh's lecture, and some of the just so school like this they look a bit sleepy. So make sure you take something away that you in the other lectures you could do bachar on these different points. Waheguru, Waheguru, Waheguru. Aisha. So what are the roots of a nation? So anyone, what's the roots of a nation? Benji. History. History. Okay. What else? One's history. Anybody else? इतिहास हो गया. What else are the roots of a nation? एक कौम की जड़ा क्या है? हाँ जी.
The mothers.
The mothers. Okay, mama. हाँ जी.
Language.
Language बोली ठीक है. और की?
Principle.
Principle असूल ठीक है जी. हाँ जी. Anybody else? There's no other roots. हाँ जी.
Traditions.
Traditions ठीक है जी. There's somebody cross मर्यादा. Anybody else?
Religion.
Religion. धर्म ठीक है जी. Any in the last one? अच्छा ठीक है. There's just a few things I've had in my mind. History, इतिहास, way of life, उन्होंने जिले मर्यादा है, religion, धर्म, principles, असूल, language, बोली, identity, उन्होंने दी पहचान होना. ये चीज़ां, these are the things which can be a nation's roots. एक कौम की जड़ां होंदियां हैं. So we're going to talk about roots today. ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਪਛਾਣ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ. Where are we and where perhaps we are going. To start off with, मैं एक story share करनी. Everybody know, we're familiar with this. हाँ जी.
Roots.
Roots, huh? It's who's seen this movie Roots? Vikya, have you seen? Okay, I saw this on the True Movies channel. I was just flicking while watching 6 channel or something, in England. And it's an educational movie, so that's why I'm देखने लग गया when my dad was with me. And watching is very disturbing. It's सच्ची कहानी है. एक movie बनाई गई है ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਾਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਲਾਮ ਸੀ slaves. One of the America की हाल होया. It's a very interesting movie. And you remember what's his name? Kunta Kinte. एक मुंडा सी I think it was in 1726 or something. The 18वीं सदी की गल है. And he is he goes out. एक राजे दा मुंडा है. He's a son of a king. And he goes out and उन्हें गोले फाड़ लेते हैं. The Americans, the whites, they grab him. तो they make him into slave. उन्हें गुलाम बना के उन्हें अमेरिका भेज देते हैं बाकी काले के नाल. And when he arrives in America, then he's sold as a slave. And when he's sold in the market, firstly, does he accept that he's a slave? Those who've seen him, does he accept that he is a slave? No. Why? He is a son of a? He is a son of a king. Is he a slave? No. Is he a slave? He doesn't accept that. I'm not a slave. And then in the market, bazaar de vich, he is sold. And then the Gore gave him a new name. What nama naam ki si pata kisi nu? Hanji? Nahi yaad? Hanji yaad? Toby they gave him. Toby naam dinde. What was the name? Toby. You can remember this, you can share this with me. So the naam dinde Toby. And they say your name is Toby, but his real name was what? Kuntakenshpan. Okay, mera naam Toby nahi. Toby is a Christian name. Messiah da naam. But mera naam Kuntakenshpan is not Toby. Unu fake hi karde, unu kut de maar de. They beat him. They unu maar de kut de ya. And this is a scene from the movie. Unu fake tangal ante. Unu tang ke unu kende ya tu na apna das. And he refuses to say Toby. Kande Isaiah da naam hai, main nahi kehna. I'm not Toby. Because he always remembers, like a Raja da pote mein gulaam nahi. I'm a son of a king, I'm not a slave. Unu inna maar de, they beat him. And eventually he says his name is what? Toby. He admits. So he's captured 1767. It's claimed to be a true story. And then what happens? Even though he's called a slave, even though gulaam banaya janda, he always tries to keep his roots alive. Apna jehda ityahas dharm hai, unu jagda rakhne di koshish karda, tries to keep it alive. And how does he do that? In secrecy, he tries to pass down to his children and so on. Gupta roop vich apne bacche nu dasda, assi gulaam nahi, we are not slaves. So banaya janda, but we are the son of a king, and he tries to pass on. Eventually 7 generations pass, and then there's a guy who claims to be Alex Haley. Then he tries to find his roots. One thing is, that Alex Haley was lucky enough that he found out that, oh, my roots come to this Kunta Kinte. Then he traced his roots back to Gambia, because he remembered a few words. And thode akhar si, shabd si, jo una de dade pradadiyan ne unna nu dasse si, ye saadi boli de shabd hai. Oi boli de shabd, those words in their language they preserved, and then he traced back to Gambia. O shabda to pata lag gaya, ye Gambia de shabd hai. So they went back to Gambia and he found his ancestors. This is the story of one person, and he was very lucky. And not everybody else was very lucky. If someone is called, for example, Will Smith, is Smith his ancestor's name? How did he get the name Smith? How did he get the name Smith? Anybody? Haji Virji.
His dad's last name.
His dad's last name. But how did his ancestors get the name Benji?
I was talking about how he got Smith because of the slave.
Haji, slave. If someone's name is Smith, unada naam nahi Smith. Da naam nahi Smith. Is their slave master's name. Didn't their master, Malik, you know that? Unada naam si. And they gave their name to the gulam, to the slave. So I they were robbed of everything. Even their language. When they spoke their own language, they used to be beaten. You have to forget your language. Why did they want them to forget their language? Tell me. Why did they want them to forget their language?
So they lose their roots.
Hanji?
They lose their roots.
They lose their roots. Why? Hanji?
Because you no longer have the history, and you no longer have the ability to relate to the past that you may have had before.
So you convert the past and then Hanji?
So you assimilate to their ways.
Hanji, you assimilate to them. Wherever they say, you become like them. So they were robbed of their language first of all. Usually, if you're doing prachar, it should be in Punjabi, with Punjabi Sikhs. But we usually speak why you try to speak a mixture of Punjabi and English. Why is it that some of the people who can't speak English, they try to speak a mix of English and Punjabi, who speak English and do talks to camps like this? Why? Anyone know? Isn't about that? Why do we speak English, Anji?
We get to a larger group.
A large group. Why? We're all Punjabis here. And
Some people don't have knowledge of your friend.
हाँ जी, no, everybody knows Punjabi very well. इतने तक मैं कैंप पे गया, just for कैंप खाने के से कैंप पे गया, वो बच्चे से उन्हें बच्चे ने 2 बार अपने केस निभाए. He didn't comb his hair, छोटा बच्चा not बड़ा से छोटा सी. ना मैं उन्हें पूछा तो अपने केस निभाए या? And he goes, what? मैं क्या? Then I said in English, have you combed your hair? कहता no, it's been 2 days. अच्छा मैं क्या okay, मैं तेरे केस निभाऊंगा, मैं I'll comb your hair. वो सेवादार है, मैं क्या इतना कमाल दी गल मुंडे ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ. मैं क्या अच्छा, मैं क्या तेरे केस मैं तेरे केस तू केस वाया तो तू बोलिया नहीं. कहना what's case mean? I don't know what case means. 11 साल का बच्चा, what does case mean? Just to show how we've gone away from our roots. एक मतलब निशान नहीं है. We struggle to speak Punjabi, we speak English. मैं भी बोलता है, but we should try to speak Punjabi. That's why you might notice मैं कोशिश करता हूँ पंजाबी बोलने. Because if we speak more English, then what happens? अरदास विच की बोलोगे? मैं तो हੱਸਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ. अरदास विच कई बार जो ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਗਾਹ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਕੀ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੋਲੋਗੇ? Dear Vaheguru Ji, we are doing ardas that Mandip Singh that he has got a new car and that he will pay for it. इतना बोलोगे? कई पंजाबी भी वो मेरा नाम मनवीर सिंह गया. मनवीर सिंह ना आया पर देखे Manvir. It's not Manvir. वो गोरे कहते Manvir. मनदीप नाम मनदीप है, not Manvir. कोई रंजीत ना not Ranjit. सोचिए बरीकी दी गल्ला बोलो वाहिगुरु. It's worth paying attention to this. Your language makes a big difference in your psyche. If you want to keep your body alive, then you must make an effort. Someone said to me, "Boli Punjabi aunदी नहीं पाई, so मैं की करूँ?" There was a Penji I knew, वो पंजाबी परिवार विच सी, England, and she did a degree in Spanish. Spanish विच degree की थी. She wasn't born Spanish. वो घर विच नहीं Spanish बोलते सी, but she did a degree in Spanish. How come? What did she do? Study. And that's where we become lazy. I don't know Punjabi, so no problem. My mom and dad didn't teach me. Fair enough. There was no classes when I was younger. Fair enough. But then there's always time to catch up. Bolo Vaheguru. मेरा नाम थे आज, so एक language हो गया. The other one is name. What was this guy's name? Kontakente. वो नाम क्या रखा गया? Toby. And he was forced. I think he was forced to give his name. पर अफसोस की गल है that आज मैंने वैसे सारे दिन नाम नहीं पता. So if you have got this name, don't गुस्सा ना करें. We have Stephen Singh, Paul Singh, Michael Singh, Barbara को मैं उदां दी जेंडर्स में Paul Singh नाम तो लाई जाता है, शायद एक नहीं लाया होना. इधर दे नाम है. These are the names we have. Who is Simon? Who is Simon? Not within you guys. Simon कौन है बंदा? Simon का नाम कौन सी? Saint Simon. Who's Paul? Saint Paul. Who is the disciple of? Jesus the Chela. Jesus the Chela, Saint Paul. Catholic churches, you can say in one form their guru, Saint Paul. And it's so sad. साड़ी इन्नी मंदे भाग गया असी अपने नाम गुरु क्रिश्चियनां दे गुरुआं ते रखी जांदे आ. We're keeping our names after the Christian saints. मैं एक true story दसन लगा. बोलो वाहिगुरु. बुक मेरी दुनिया तेरी दुनिया दा बुक दा नाम है. It's a true stories दा बुक इकट्ठे कीतियां हैं. और बुक विच एक स्टोरी आउंदी आ. फिर टेंशन कीमती गल्लां विच में share with somebody. Because I'm sure, put your hand up if you know someone who's got a Christian name in your family. No. नहीं मैंने मेरी बेइज्जती कराई जाती है. अच्छा part पूरे या उन्होंने in your extent no one knows anybody with a Christian name within Punjabi community. आप देखे उन मोबाइल में आप करे वाहिगुरु. sorry मेरा थोड़ा गला खराब हो गया. I'm trying my best to speak. That in this book is written एक गुरसिख सी लुधियाना च रहिंदा सी. And ਉਹਦੇ पोता ही had a grandson. And ਉਹਨੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀਓ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰੋ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਮੇਰਾ ਪੋਤਾ ਤੇਰਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣੇ. May my grandson become your Sikh. ਉਹ ਪੰਥ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਿਆਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣੇ. May become a fully fledged Gursikh, take Amrit as well. उन्हें अरदास की शुक्राने विच thanks. His son lived in England and he said, Dad, come across to England that we are the child, so England aa jao. Raat nahi bheji. Sheti utte pahunch gaye. When he arrived there, when a baby is born, what's the first thing you do? जब बच्चा जन्मता पहली चीज किसकी करते हैं? हाँ जी? हुक्मनामा. हुक्मनामा की फिर की करना है? नाम संस्कार, ठीक है? नाम give a name ceremony, ठीक है? We know अपने अपने नाम रखना. You go to गुरुद्वारा साहब अरदास करके you take हुक्मनामा, so random reading from Guru Granth Sahib जी. जो पहला शब्द है और जो पहला word है is the first letter from the first word. You pick that. So Gur Pura Charni Laya. So what's the letter? Gaga. So you go get from G. You pick a name. Oh, Baba ji आगे गुरसिख. वो कहते को तो गुरुद्वारे चलिए ना रखिए. वो कहते ना रखने की लोड़ नहीं. ना रखने की लोड़ नहीं. कहते अच्छा. कहते की गाल. कहते we already named him. ना रख लिया. It's a true story. कहते ना रख लिया. कहते ना की रखिया. Pay attention. कहते Robin. ना की रखिया? Robin. और ओदा in England, Robin,
Wait, is his son insecure?
is a Singh family.
Oh, okay.
पता नहीं उन्होंने इधर लिखा Singh family इधर लिखा केस पर क्यों नहीं? कहने Robin नाम रखा है. ओदा in England, Robin एक chocolate bar में होती सी Robin when I was younger और जो मुख्य bird होती सी. And even now when I think of Robin, I think of a big bird. ता उन्होंने पूछा Robin क्यों ना रखा? Pay attention. Why have you named your son Robin? पता क्या है? Because who told you to name him Robin? कहने गवांडिया ने. गवांडिया ने नाम रखा. Next door neighbors. कहने गवांडिया ने नाम Robin रखा है. कहने ओ कहता how come? And he said that we took the baby. The next door neighbors came over. Gwandiya and they go, oh, how cute! Oh, it just looks like a Robin. Oh, he looks like a Robin. He looks like a Robin. What about the Robin? What a cute, he looks like a Robin. And in the back, I mean, Robin is here. Oh, can they why they're good friends? So if he looks like a Robin, he be named Robin. So no Robin na rakhne. Baba ji bolne nahi khush. She was really, really devastated. And now they're totally on the bechare. कहने नीना 2 महीने बाद their Gwandi और जो Gwandi Sikh they were Christian Gore couple. They had a child, उनका baby up, and they had a tea party. You know the car park, just there's like tea biscuits that people. And उन्होंने Singh family was invited as well. उन्होंने साथ ले अपने car. They came to their house. ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ obviously उन्होंने तो हुक्मनामा नहीं लेना ना. They were going to do अरदास and do नाम संस्कार. उन्होंने उधर कुछ चंद tea party. We want to name our baby. कोई नाम न बनाया. Any suggestions? कोई हैगा कोई सुझाव? And मुझे बाबा जी वो लुधियाने वाले. He was all English जानते थे. He could speak and understand English. And he's quite clued up. काफी देर से बाबा जी ने हाथ खड़ा कर लिया. And he goes, can I make a suggestion? Because yes, Mr. Singh, can you get? I suggest Pal Singh. There's a book to look here, Pal Singh for your child. And you know what the Gore said? Mr. Singh is a really nice name, but we're Christians. हाँ सोना है, पर असी असाई है, we're Christians. If it was a Sikh baby, it would be a really nice name, but for a Christian baby, it doesn't look good. इन्हीं का चुप हो गए पापा जी. He just went quiet. Went to their name, their Gora baby, कुछ ना रखा. Then they came from घर आ गए. The मुंडा वो रोया, the son. वो इन्ना रोया कहना Dad, I've been a fool. मैं इन्ना बेवकूफ. They would never name their children after us. कभी गोरा कोई ना पर बच्चे रखो कुछ जार से ना तो गोर में गोर सिखा दी गाली को मैं जरा आम गोरे दी गाल करता. Would a गोरा आम गोरा name their child जार से? They would. आम गोरा. अगर ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਚੰਗੇ ਕੋਈ ਵਾਂਢੀ ਹੋਣੇ ਆ.
Sorry man.
Sukhmani go with the name of the child? No, they wouldn't. These are sick names. But साड़ी बदकिस्मती that we are losing our names. खास करके when I look at people in Canada, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ there's quite a few here that they came in now. ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ that they can come across. There's quite a few that they know. So this is another thing how we're losing. Then our history as well. History, how we're losing our history, how we're losing our identity. Only मेरे विचार करने हैं. बोलो वाहिगुरु, वाहिगुरु, वाहिगुरु. When Kunta came to a son of a, who was he a son of a? King. He was a son of a Rajida Mundasi. The ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ we are the children of Guru ਉੱਚੀ ਬੋਲੋਗੇ ਜੋਸ਼ ਨਾਲ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਕਰੋ we are the children of Guru ਮਾਨ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਬੇਇੱਜ਼ਤੀ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਬੋਲੇ ਮਾਨ we should be proud of this we are the children of Guru Gobind Singh Ji our mother is मैं एक story ਦੱਸਦਾ मैं ਅੱਗੇ I've probably shared this before as well but this for the newcomers as well एक ਭੈਣ ਜੀ she's Russian ਉਹ ਗੋਰੀ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਛਕਿਆ ਹੈ and ਉਹ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ she wrote an article on the internet longing for Vaheguru article ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਸੀ I when I was getting into Sikhi I read this article and in this article she writes that she goes to Moscow ਜਾਂਦੇ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ and in Red Square I don't know if you know about Red Square because of the like a tourist attraction ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਰਦੇ ਆ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਬਾਣਾ ਪਾਇਆ she's wearing Khalsa uniform she's wearing a dastar ਕੇਸ ਕੀ ਬਣਨੀ ਹੈ ਉੱਪਰ ਚੁੰਨੀ ਪਾਈ then she's wearing a chola and when she's walking she said that there were some people with some cameras gulch camera पाए and they're looking at Benji and they look and आपस में गल्ला करके they're talking amongst themselves and looking at Benji and they're talking Benji looks at they look like they're scared to ask me or कोई कुछ पूछना पर डरते हैं so Benji goes up to them and goes hi can I help you is there anything I can help you with and they said yeah we have a question एक सवाल है can fire away I said we just want to say which country's princess are you which country's princess are you and such much Benji ਤੇ ਲਿਖਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ article ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ she goes I am the princess of Anandpur Sahib ਮੈਂ Anandpur Sahib ਦੀ princess ਹਾਂ Benji ਦਾ ਨਾਮ Benji Sukhmani Kaur ਹੈ my father is the king of kings Guru Gobind Singh Shah Shahenshah Guru Gobind Singh this is what Guru has made us एक बार मैं तुम्हें बेनती करूं before Guru Gobind Singh took Amrit what was his name Gobind Ram and what did his name become afterwards how did his name change to Guru Gobind Singh partaking Amrit acha so how many of you before you took Amrit ਜਦੋਂ Amrit ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਜਾਂ ਕੌਰ ਸੀ ਕੋਈ hand अच्छा Amrit ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ hands down how did you get the name Singh or Kaur ਤੁਸੀਂ Amrit ਨਹੀਂ ਛਕਿਆ Guru Gobind Singh got the name Amrit ਛਕ ਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ Amrit ਛਕਿਆ ਸੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਵੀ ਮਨਵੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀ how did I get the name Singh or you got Kaur ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ anyway ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਦੱਸੋ last okay my mom dad ਮੇਰਾ ਡੈਡੀ ਮੁੰਨਾ ਸੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਬਾਬੇ ਨੇ Amrit ਨਹੀਂ ਛਕਿਆ ਹਾਂਜੀ anybody how did I get the name Singh ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਹਾਂਜੀ
Punjabi family like
but how did they get the name Singh
just happened
somebody in his family one of his ancestors probably taken on
Anji thank you Benji someone in your family my family took Amrit ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦਾਦੇ ਪੜਦਾਦਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਦਾਦੇ ਪੜਦਾਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਛਕਿਆ someone took Amrit and changed my destiny and changed your destiny if they had not taken Amrit I or you would be Dev Chand Das ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੋਣੇ ਸੀ most likely but someone took Amrit in your family and you before we take an Amrit ਜਿਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ Amrit ਨਹੀਂ ਛਕਿਆ ਸਿੰਘ ਔਰ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀ ਬਣਿਆ you are living off the name I'm not saying use the name ਵਰਤੋ it's good I was proud to use the name that's my personal vichar but you are living off your ancestors name you are living off their name the day you take Amrit then Guru says you are worthy of this name so we live off their name which is fine but then when you take Amrit then it becomes Guru says now you are worthy of this name Bolo Vaheguru 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 so that means someone in your family took Amrit from the hands of Guru Gobind Singh Ji or Baba Deep Singh Ji Bhai Mani Singh Ji and they changed your destiny that a future change kar deta and the same comes to us if we become the Guru Sikhs we will change our family's generations and if we become Tille if we become lapse in our Sikhi then at the same time we will change the history of our family future history for the negative Vaheguru 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 so one thing is if you've not taken Amrit the Singh or Kaur name have with pride but always remember where you got the name from always respect Amrit and respect Amritaris because ਇਹ ਨਾਮ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ Amrit ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਆ ਹੈ what does the word Singh mean lion acha Why did Guru name us lion? And why did Guru name us lion? हाँ जी भैन जी, दो तीन बंदे जागते बाकी सोते लगे। हाँ जी भैन जी।
King of the jungle.
हाँ जी।
King of the jungle.
King of the jungle. अच्छा, भैन से king of the jungle. Anybody else? हाँ जी पास। Fearless. Okay. Anybody else? अच्छा, मैं एक गुरसिख ने मुझे गाल दसी सी मैं सांची करने लगा and it really made sense to me. कहने सिंह शेर है, ठीक है? Who's seen a zoo or seen on TV or been to a zoo or something? देखे सारे zoo या TV ते जान real life. Okay. When a lion जो शेर होता है, शेर नु पिंजरे विच पिंजरा means what? Cage. पिंजरे विच रखा जाता है शेर नु. What does the shear try to do within the cage? Anyone know?
Circle.
हाँ जी.
Mark his territory.
Mark his territory. हाँ. वो घूमने की कोशिश करता था. He tries to do this. Note करो कभी. जिधर शेर या lion, he tries to rotate around. वो घूमने की कोशिश करता है. As marking territory कहते हैं. Why does it do that? Anyone tell me why does it do that? ये क्यों करता था? He knows he can't get out. उन्हें पता है लोहे दे एक पिंजरा ऐसे iron cage. I can't get out. Why does he keep on going around? हाँ जी पास.
Other people, other animals know that it's his territory.
Other animals know it's his territory to close. Anybody else? नहीं. तो बोलो वाहिगुरु. Thinking positive. हाँ close. वाहिगुरु. वाहिगुरु. जरा सिंह गया. सिंह कहता the lion. मैं तेरी गुलामी नहीं मैं परवाह नहीं करता. I do not accept your slavery. Pay attention to this one. You can share it with somebody else. The lion says, I do not accept your slavery. You have put me within an iron cage. I'm going to show you that even within this cage, I don't accept your gulami, your slavery. इस पिंजरे विच मैं तेनों समझा दूं मैं तेरी गुलामी परवाह नहीं करता. And he tries to go around like this. गुनगादा that I don't accept your slavery. And this is what a Sikh is. Sikh is never a slave of anybody. A Sikh is never a slave of anybody. A Sikh is not a slave of shrab. A Sikh is not a slave of fashion. A Sikh is not a slave of society. The command di gal hai, not all of our ancestors, none of them have ever been slaves. Our ancestors, sare de itihas dekho, there's somewhere you find slavery. Har ek de itihas vich wo gulami hondi hai. But physical gulami, we are slaves, we have never been. Because the Singhs, what do? That because you can cut us into pieces, we will not accept you, your slavery. You can boil us alive, we will accept your slavery. This is who your ancestors, this is who we are. So, by taking Amrit, we become the sons and daughters of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And if Guru Gobind Singh is the king of kings, that means that when we take Amrit, we become what? Prince and princesses. We become prince and princesses. Guru. एक भगत रविदास ये शब्द है. नरपत एक संगासन सोया सुपना पया पखारी. Supne paya पखारी. The Guruji says that Narpat means king. Narpat ek sangasan सोया. एक राजा आया वो संगासन means what? Throne. वो संगासन ते सो जाता, goes to sleep. Sutta paya supne paya pakhari. Supna means dream. And in a dream he believes he is a beggar, a tramp. And when he thinks this, Guruji Asha Charad Vichrat Dukapaya So Gat Pei Hamari. Oh my God, I'm a king. Where's my palace? Where's my servants? Mere naukar kitte, mere mahal kitte. Inna dukh lagda. And he really cries. Dronda pitda hai. And Guruji said, "Is sadi hard clear." Oda atma di gal kitti, but I'm using this samajik thought in a social sense as well. Guru has made us what? Prince and in the Greek Sikhan Guru Deo Padshai. Guruji says, "I'll make you kings and queens." These people. Guruji said this. In Greek Sikhan Guru Deo Padshai. But Sochan di gali, we have to ask ourselves, do we, at the moment as a community, are we more on this stage or this stage? Be honest. Sochan di gali, are we more here or there? Samajik taur te saadi community ya, because itte band jo gaya je ere varge hai. मैं गल तो सांझी कर लवार में एक ब्याह ते मैं गया ਜਦੋਂ मैं गया थे छोटा सी मैं अमृत नहीं छकिया सी And I remember on one wedding party, and in the wedding party, in England they go, they did barat it goes on coaches. In the boys' side they go to the wedding on coaches, on bus. On the weddings finish, party finish hogi, and we're going back on the coaches. And when you yaad ya, ek banda si une pag banni te dara prakash, he had his beard flowing, chitti rang dari, white beard. And oh dig gaya. Anyone of you dig gaya white before ever? Drunk. Any ko naam jap ke nip gaya. He became drunk. Oh dig gaya is such a sad and disturbing scene. Oh banda pe lombe paya edda. Menu yaad hai edda punje paya. The ore nyane these children come and go, Daddy uth ja. Oh nyane ron lag pe sare ke samne. Daddy uth ja. Ore ghar wali ko ron lag pe. Sar te pag banni, dara prakash. Then you have to ask ourselves, asi pakhari ya, or asi je are we kings and queens? Where are we? Are we become tramps? Sadi sochni pakhariya vargi ban gayi, are we thinking become like tramps? Or do we think like kings and queens, prince and princesses? Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. There's a parable, it's a story made up with a meaning. एक कोई शिक्षा मिलने वाली स्टोरी है एक बंदा सी पोला पाला जिम्मेदार सी was a farmer and उन्हें अपने मोटे ते रखे से उन्हें shoulder a बकरी बकरी goat and he's walking and there's 10 डाकू शायद किसी ने भी सुना होगा there's 3 bandits 3 robbers. Oh, 10 Dapu can live, the 3 robbers said that we are going to grab this bakri from him. We're going to grab this goat from him. But there's a catch. The catch is that we're going to grab this goat without beating him up. So what they decide to do is the 3 of them, they divide themselves in the village. They divide themselves. The guy is walking. Vaheguru, Vaheguru. In this story, there's Sikhya. Pay attention. Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Then when they feel sleep, try to pay attention, take a laha. Otherwise, in the whole camp, what do you learn? No sleep. Sleep like this, try to take something like Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Acha. Oh, toda hai Punjab bola, bada banda, and the first robber, bada document banda, and he goes. And the Bhai Sahib, Tuada kutta bara sona. What was he holding? Bakri, a goat. And he says what? Kanda tusi kutta bara sona. Kanda kutti di photo. Kanda kutta bara kya hai? What kanda hai? Kanda sadaiya banda. Is he mental? Is a goat. Koi sadai mil gaya. And then he walks off. Uttar kanda. He just said, I don't know why I met this crazy guy. He goes further on, like the Duja Chor Melchanda, the second bandit, the Duja Dakusi. He said, Bhai Sahib, kutte nu khalaya balaya karo kuch. Dekho, ore, kiri bhai halat hui ya. Look at his chief. You need to look after him, dekhbhal kare karo kutte di. The farmer, jab pola pala banda si, unhe dekhya bhi hai. Sab main bhi dekh raha hu, main kutta bhai bakri bhai. Dekhya, hey. I met 2 mental people today. What's he holding? And what's he saying you're holding? Dog. So then he moves on. So this time he's even questioned himself. He questioned himself. And just double check. Then Tija Dapu Milda, the 3rd bandit. And the 3rd bandit says, I'll do you a favor. I'll do you a favor. You can give me this dog for free. Because ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਬੋਝ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕੁੱਤਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਖਿਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਪਿਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਬੋਝ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਚ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਆਰ ਲੁੱਕ ਆਫਟਰ ਯੂ ਡੋਨਟ ਨੀਡ ਟੂ ਪੇ ਮੀ ਤੂੰ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਬੜਾ ਵਿਚਾਰਾ ਭੋਲਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਸਿਰ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਘੁੰਮ ਗਿਆ even what's happening looked at it and ਉਹਨੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਲੈ ਕੁੱਤਾ and he said ਕੁੱਤਾ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਫਰਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਬੋਲੋ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ what was it बकरी सी तो लोगों ने की उन मना देता है इस वक्त कुत्ता ये सादी हाल है we are supposed to be the sons and daughters of who? Guru Gobind Singh. Man na bolya karo, with respect. We are the sons and daughters of who? That's pata lage na sara baap kaun hai. And who the world says no. Where I'm taking this story. Ye tane daku nahi. Imagine this is society. Ye samaj hai. Ye tane daku hai. And we are the pola pala farmer. People are saying that your Sikhi is not this, you should be this. I'm just going to be vichar on that. Dhyan ਨਾਲ ਸੁਣੋ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੌਣ ਆ? We are the sons and daughters of? We are prince and princesses. And we will look what is the world and what is society telling us and what we started to believe. This is a famous author, Nakhariya, George Orwell. He writes, the most effective way to destroy people is to deny and liberate their own understanding of their history. किसी कौम को खत्म करना नहीं, उन्हें दी बुद्धि भ्रष्ट कर दे, उन्हें जो अपना इतिहास दी सोची है वो खत्म कर दे. Their understanding of who they are. And today we're going to do a reality check. It's very important you pay attention. Waheguru, Waheguru. Acha. Very good. This is what the world wants you to believe. This is what the world wants you to believe. The bandits. This is what the world wants you to believe who you are. Is this who we are? Are we this? I'll example. This is movie. Which movie is this? The Likhya Bhiya. Jo Bole Sonehar. Jo Bole Sonehar, the Jikara which Baba Deep Singh Ji used to say in battle. जो गुर से गूंजते होते सी in the battle, today is being used in गंदिया movie, गंदी movie है, वो बंदा and is hard होगी that people actually go to watch these movies. And you know what? In the West, which community watches Hindi movies the most? Punjabis. And we are watching this. समझा how we are losing who we are. जेरा जिकारे तो आटे दादे परदादे दादियाँ बोलते सी. Went for fighting for Sikhi, to defend Taran. That Jikara has been now been put down and being used in Gandiya movie. This, anyone knows the second picture? Harpajan Singh did a good prayer. Anyone know that in this particular picture is taken from an advert? What is he advertising? Whiskey the bottle. Whiskey the bottle, the brand advert, yeah, Harpajan Singh, you look, you can say the back west, the Sikh, I'm using this, a Sikh is somebody who follows Sikh, he is my Sikh background. Again, what was the message there? If he's advertising Shrab, what's the message to you guys and me? And to the world?
That's sex drink.
That's sex drink. Bolo Waheguru, Waheguru, that's Sikh Shrab in there. Sikhs are advertising Shrab. I just changed school recently. The school I worked at, I'm a school teacher, I'm in a school. And my manager, the teacher, they said that we want to buy you a leaving present. On my last day, they gave me a present. The present they gave me a mircha order with the chili seeds or something to and they gave me this book or something. And they go, oh man, it was really hard finding you a present. I go, really? We didn't know what to buy you. But they said, how did you find the present? We went on Google. We were so stuck what to buy, you went on Google. Pay attention. The internet they gave, and on internet said, what to buy a Sikh for a present. What to buy a Sikh for a present. Google file. Real story, one July last month. And do you know what the first, the first search result, what do you know what that was? What was it? Bacardi and Coke was the first one. The Pella, Bacardi and Coke, Shrab, Bacardi. And then the second was whiskey the bottle. Are there different types of Sikhs? You've been working for 2 years, 2 saal te kaam kar, tu kala Sikh shrab hi pinda. Fir assi gaye to ote sare on the search results saying that Sikh drink shrab. Then they go that we are going to stop कितने शहर च रहंदे होते थोड़े अपने पंजाबी ज़्यादा रहंदे या they said we were going to stop and then we saw this guy पंजाबी बंदा पग बन्नी देखा we were going to stop and ask him we got a guy who works with us what to buy him for a present but we didn't get time मैं कह रहा हूँ शुक्रिया मैं उन्हें भी शायद देता ही जवाब दे देना से उन्हें शराब की बोतल पी के दे दी. This is how we become. It's very sad. गौर करने की बात is how you have been made that you are sharabis. One of my students, next student here, she was in the next door classroom. She was doing health and social care. वो मेरे classroom च आके Mr. Singh, I've just come to ask you a question. मैं कहा, what's your question? She goes, I'm sure Sikhs don't drink sharab. They don't drink alcohol. मैं कहा शराब नहीं पीते. They don't drink alcohol. She goes, in my textbook, at school textbook, it's written that the people who drink the most sharab and have the most alcohol-related diseases are who? Sikhs. किताब जो लिखा है. School textbook. मान सकते हो सी? Who are you supposed to be? The sons and daughters of? You are supposed to be prince and princess. वही गाल होगी. Are we tramps or are we kings? कितने सी खरे? Again, then these are these. आज ये मूवियाँ या पहली गाल है. If anybody watches, this is someone gave me a YouTube link. कहते भाई साहब ये मूवी विच एक सिख पेश किया इधर रूप दे विच. I need to have proof of how they doing beati of Sikhi. So I went up there and I just took a screenshot. If you're at home watching this 3-hour movie, then go into the movie and you're seeing this guy is supposed to be a Sikh, would you want to become a Sikh? Would you? No, you wouldn't. ये में शक्ल कोई किसका चित्र नहीं करोगे सिख बनकर पर ओदा दे बंदे टीवी विच पेश करते हैं they making these people in dramas and in films to make you hate yourself, to make you hate your kids, to make you hate your dastar, to make you hate your Sikhi. समझ आ गई how we are being brainwashed. बोलो वाहिगुरु आप कौन है? किस मूवी देखते? मैं भी देखी है. मैं पैसे नहीं देते. मैं प्रचार तौर पे देखी मूवी. मैं पैसे नहीं. I'll never give money. और Singh is King नहीं वो सारे के Singh is King मूवी आई है. मैं तो पता नहीं आप देखे कि नहीं गवर्नमेंट कैप्च कर दी. I just fast forwarded the scenes and stuff just to see मोटा film देखी. And oh my gosh. I went to one Gurmat camp and the kids go, Baji, Singh is king, Singh is the he pagal ho gaya. Then this movie, this is the hero. You know, he's supposed to be the king, Singh is king. Does he look like a Singh? Singh lagda? He doesn't. In the whole movie, he's a Nakama Banda. He's supposed to be an idiot. He's an idiot who goes after a woman. Oh, bibi de piche janda hai. He goes after a woman and then his family, Dare Prakash, ek bande na gyani rakhiya and they're drug mafia, drug dealers. And asi kande wow, honey Bollywood are making movies about us. Asi the head shate kare hon sardara lagi movie ade vich. You are being fooled. Jida bakri no kutta bana deta, Sikh no ek bashar bana dete. Kande Sikh ta bashar mein. Bolo Vaheguru. And that's why people think this is not acceptable. Whole we have like God this is anyone know who this is? This is not the कोई गल तो से अपना मुंह पर तेरी रखो मैं Jazzy B. Jazzy B on the top it says what does it say on the top of the photo?
Sikh awards.
Sikh awards. Did you know he got a Sikh award? England the original Sikh award मिलिया बंदे को. किसने पता what award they gave? Why did they give him a Sikh award? Yes. Let's go. Hanji. Dharmic song is very close. An award that Sikh award that he is in a din that is Sikh common. Is your close? He got the music for Sikh music. In his Sikh music, no din that he abandoned. मैं मार सोचा है जिधर मैं मोना बस मैंने गाने सुनता है and I'm thinking I'm sure his song Daku Jaga Daku is not about Sikhi Jagu de Daku de गाना या इश्क दे गाने या काम दे गाने या शराब दे गाने या How is this contributing to Sikh music? What's Sikh music? Gurbani Kirtan, Tati, Vara, Kavishri. But we are being fooled that this is Sikh music. Guru. Lastly, ithe tak that we have become so brainwashed. The majority people who call themselves Sikh, Sikh do they look like Guru Gobind Singh Ji or Shah Rukh Khan? Be honest, such this year. Sikh do the majority look like Guru Gobind Singh Ji or Shah Rukh Khan? Dekh le how we're losing our roots. We look more like this guy than our own father. Kunte was robbed of his culture, robbed of his identity. That we are really giving up our identity. Bolo Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. एक मैं गाने दी गल करनी सी उत्ते मैं एक ते गाने दी कोई गल करनी सी. There was one program which came on NDTV. I was just looking through the 6 channels. It was a break time on 6 channels, so I was just looking for the key channels. And there was one channel, and I went on there, and the program was Shadi 3 crore ki. Dekha kisne? Minnoy Bishan banai jande to nahi dekh raha. Also pehli dekha. These are two of us watch this British program. Actually, और Shadi 3 crore ki program si. It's a mobile phone company, I think it's Vodafone, something. वो पैसे देंगे, 10 crore पैसा देंगे, 3 million rupees to this family to do a wedding. बड़े बड़े पत्थर थे, big wedding, like a big star wedding. And the family is a Sardar परिवार है. And during the episode which I watched, one of them was the family has a reception party हो रही है. मैं कह देखा कि एक हो रहा है सरदार से ना कुछ usually don't find Sardars on the channel. And when I looked at it, it was so disturbing. I had to switch it off. Or the reception, they gone while I just see, before I took camera. So he comes and he sings a song. Just for prachar purpose, I line just the line will tell you. But Ghana si ek munda Punjabi, Nain Sharabi, Patika Puri, Gujarat ki. Munda Punjabi on Punjab, what's the associated religion to Punjab? Sikhs, ठीक है? एक मुंडा पंजाबी, हम आप बदल मार्च सिखी आवागा. Nan Sharabi's eyes are what? Drunk. He's showing he's drunk. Sharabi. Patakya Puri, Gujarati. He's grabbed and kidnapped a girl. अपने कुड़ी को kidnap करके ले गया. Who are we the children of? Children, उची बोला करो children of? Anki Guru Gobind Singh Ji de पोते यहाँ इतना भी काम करोगे? And this is what, you know what happened? In the सारे ओते दा मासी भी इदा को दो अपने डरारी सी, चाची भी इदा को चाचरी सी, सारे नाच रहे सी. वो जी बीबी उदा शायद गुरुद्वारे के अंदर में बैठ नहीं सकती, उन्हें कुंडी उते साइड तरफ कोई इदा कर रहा. Everybody is dancing. But it was so disgusting. बोलो वाहिगुरु, वाहिगुरु. Do you know why it's disgusting? Because our forefathers, their forefathers, they were the ones who in India looked after the respect, the honor of the Hindu girls. Pata to no? Ahmad Shah Ghali, when he came Afghan, warlord, king, came to India, he invaded India, only Hindu adi Korea ko they used to sell them as sex slaves in Basra. In Iraq, which was born called Basra. They used to sell them in markets as concubines. And the Singhs, what did they used to do? Rescue them. At 12 o'clock, they would come, they would attack their camps, and they would free the women. I was listening to one lecture, historical lecture, he was give a reference, I can't remember the particular reference of the book. And the book that with the Singhs, they would put the girl, the Hindu girl, on the horse. They would walk. And they would sometimes walk all the way from Punjab to Maharashtra, south, where Hazur Sahib is, which would take months, you can imagine, walking. It would take a long time. And throughout the whole journey, they would make sure the girl's on the horse. And then the girls would say, "Sada vyah kar lo." Why did the girls say that?
Because they were warriors.
No, because they wouldn't, I don't think they could get married when they go back to the US because.
Shabash. You might see this Sundari movie नहीं देखी होनी किसी ने और the first scene और इस पता लग जाएगा जेरे कई परिवार सी most of them they never accepted the girls back. They kind of you have spent time with another man, you are now impure, we don't want you in our house. Can you imagine how traumatizing? So कुड़ियों को पता सी फिर इन्होंने कहना फिर तू घर नहीं आ सकती अपवित्र होगी या ये भी बगाने बंदे ये भी with a stranger. They said तू सी साल ना कर ली. What did the Singhs do? Said no. They would take them, if they got refused from home, they would take them to Akal Takht Sahib. Akal Takht Sahib, the Singhs would say, "Oh yeah, minute oh baby changi lagdi hai, aur hamari hai." Kehta nahi. The jathedar ji Siala Gursikh, unhone kehna, "Tiye put, tu inna vyah karna, oh jathedar oh rishte karaunda si." This is how pure Sikhi was. That the Singhs not even said anything wrong, they even look anything wrong at these women. Jira Sikh ya bekan bhi workshop kiya, Qazi Noor Muhammad Lahore da Qazi si. Book is Sikh history from Persian sources. You can get Amazon. All that he describes Sikh as Sagar. Sagar means, remember last yesterday's workshop? Shabash dog. Kande Sikh Sagar, not Sag. Isn't it? Agega Sag. Sagar dogs in Persian Farsi village. कहते सगा दी कौम या these are dogs, filthy dogs. और end ते लिखदा इस सगा दी एक कुत्तिया दी एक तारीफ या there's a तारीफ a praise of these dogs that they don't go after any woman, they don't touch any woman, they don't even look at a woman in the wrong way. This is your forefathers and where we come. As they gane, this is supposed to be a so-called this guy had a debate with the Ranjit Singh Tadriani Baba ji ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ debate ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ. Whatever it was, man, I'm not getting into that. But mere man ch aaya, who are you telling us about Dharam? Who is this person telling us about Dharam? This song, main kisi ne mainu YouTube ne ditta. It's called Ek Raah. Main suniya nahi pura. Main bas ek baar photo khich ke then I just use it PowerPoint. It's called in English One Night Stand of the song. And this person is telling us about Sikhi. Bande sanu das le Sikhi ki hai. Can you see what's happening to us? When you go to a wedding party, ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਗਾਣੇ are playing, think twice what you're dancing to. ਉਹਦਾ ਅਮਰ ਸ਼ਾਕੇ you're not supposed to dance. You have to think twice. Ghana is about romantic love. The Ghana is about sexual things. And there we are. Come on, Masi, tu bhi nacha mere naal. Sharmi hai nahi. गाना इश्क बारे यार काम बारे यार तू अपने मासी ना नाच रहा मैं आप जब तेरे पार्टा से मिलवा दिखे मुझे अगर ना see these things happen that means that you have lost mat girki you have become the tramp you have become the beggar you are no longer the king or the queen you are no longer the prince or princess you have psychologically you have died why bro if you type it on Google, or if you've got time to kill, or the time to kill, but if you're bored, ever, type in Google Baba Deep Singh in images. Google images, type in Baba Deep Singh ji. And do you know what pictures you come up with? Pictures like this, and other pictures. Anyone know what's showing? Tattoos. In a Baba Deep Singh a tattoo laaya, apne baat pe. He's a, it's a Canada, I think, he's Canada, Canadian. ਤਾਂ ਇਹਨੇ ਗਾਣਾ ਗਾਇਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਕੈਂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਇਸ ਸੌਂਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਪੈਗ ਲਾਉਣੀ ਦਾ ਕੁਛ ਹੈ ਬਾਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਪੈਗ ਲਾਉਣੀ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਇੱਕ ਗਲਾਸੀ ਪੀਣੀ ਐਂਡ ਉਹ ਮੂਵੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਨ YouTube ਤੇ ਵਾਚ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ ਉਹ ਦਾ ਬਾਹ ਦਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਜਹਾਂ ਨੱਚਦਾ ਬਾਬਾ ਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਫੋਟੋ ਐਂਡ ਇਜ਼ ਹੋਲਡਿੰਗ ਗਲਾਸੀ ਐਂਡ ਇਹਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਗਲਾਸੀ ਪੀਣੀ ਹੈ ਗਾਣਾ we really need to think where are we going and how we are going to address ourselves. How we are being told we are somebody else. These are pictures. This picture was found in India. In India calendar the vich chapi gayi photo hai. What's the picture showing? What's the picture showing? Hanji Paji. This one
has a picture of the shooter star Jadde and Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Krishna are kind of giving
I think
the
it's supposed to be Ramchandra.
Ram
Ramchandra blessing the shote sides. Then the shote sides are there. You got anyone know about this picture? It says on the top, मैं तो निश्चित read off है. ऊपर लिखा सोनार मोर्जन अमृत को जो सोमर दोड़ता है. ये पंजाब अमृतसर में चे picture आ देती है कि poster बंदे के. सोनार मोर्जन अमृत को जो सोमर दोड़ते पाया. Bitch देती है photo of the 10 Guru Sahibaan and Bhagat. On purpose देखो Bhagat Darbadas जी, Bhagat Sadhana जी, तो Bhagat Kabir Dev जी की photo आ उन्हें प्यारा बिच पाई है. Why देखो Bhagat Sadhana जी, Bhagat Darbadas and Bhagat Kabir जी in the feet of the cow? हाँ जी पाई सकते हैं.
They were low caste for the
हाँ, because उन्होंने टैक्स नहीं पास दी गाल दा ये ता नीवी जात देसी ता इन्होंने रब मिल गया ता असी ता होर कुछ है ता सानू रब मिलिया नहीं. So they try to do basically of the purpose as well. Here था in the Bata it says, what does it say? Amrit, Dud. And this is again psychologically, what's the message there? Sikhs are Hindus. Then साढ़े इतने तक that we've been brainwashed that we meat खा सकते हैं. आम बंदे कहते Bhai Sahab, on YouTube there's a video of Hazur Sahab, they can eat meat. Well, I'm not sure many of you speak like that, but sometimes Hazur Sahab, they have video and they can eat meat. And they do chatka there. Oh my God, guys, why are we so confused? Do you know why we're confused? Because we don't read Gurbani. Bolo Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Ji Badho, so Taram Kartapo, Ataram Kaho Katpai, Apas Ko Manavar Kartapo, Ka Kaho Kasai. Guruji says, if you kill a living being and you call it Taram, what is Ataram? What is unrighteousness? Guruji says, you call yourself a man of God, then who is a butcher? But again, we legitimize it. Who is this? Anyone know who this is? Hanji? कौन है? Shiv. ठीक है? ये Shiv है. Shiv the photo. And what's Shiv doing there in his spare time? Hanji? की करता है? पान को पता ना? He's preparing marijuana, cannabis, pan. And you see the same picture, any photo, then you थोड़ी दाढ़ी बढ़ा दियो, ऊपर दमाला बन गयो, and this is what we are doing in our community. Pan, beanie, it's okay, it's part of religion. We've even legitimized taking drugs in our religion. It's okay, guys, it's prashad. It's prashad. Prashad रूप शख्स जैसे. कबीर, पाग, मछली, शराब, जो प्राणी खाए, तीर्थ बरतने देखिए सब है. Those who eat fish, meat, those who take drugs, cannabis, Bang mentioned that, and those who drink sharab, where are they going to be going? Gurbani says they go to hell. Doesn't matter what part, what pilgrimage you do, what religious actions you do, if you're taking these gandiya cheeja, then you go to hell. Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Baki, you can see the other pictures, peace, heart, and heart. I'm not going to spend too much time, so I haven't got that much time. Okay, then one thing I mentioned here is, you got one impression of Sikhs that we are terrorists, as you Atavadiya. Itte tak that even our own Sikhs, Sikh within the Sikh community who call themselves Sikh, they call Gur Sikhs Atavadi, that these are terrorists. Gur se Amrtari, then they terrorists hai bande. So either you have been, the Amrtaris are terrorists, and then anybody who cuts their hair, drinks sharab, or looks like Shah Rukh Khan, or looks like this guy, that they are the okay people. And again, we've been brainwashed into these things, which we need to be sachet of. Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Then positive gal kara, negative three ho gaya. I'll talk positive now, because after my time is coming up. Okay, so those who follow the Guru. So the things which you mentioned before, this is what society is saying. Society, Samaj, these are forces who are telling you, take off your dastar, take off your dari, don't wear your karpaan, na pao kashera, bibia, you become like Shilpa Shetty or Aishwarya Rai, Mundir Tusish Shah Rukh Khan Banjo, don't become the sons of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Mata Sahibpur. But how they got Jinnah ne pashane who they are. Those who recognize who they are and who fought against these forces and said, no, I'm going to live in the world and be proud that I am a Sikh, I'm going to live like a Sikh and tell the whole world I'm a Sikh. A photo, anyone know when this says this protest, what's it about? It's a pretty photo. Why are they protesting? What's this protest about? Photo. Anyone know? Protesting about? They're protesting about the dastar ban in France. You know, pabandi lagi France, dastar nahi ban sakte, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ protest ਕਰਦੇ ਆ India ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. मैं ਗੱਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ share कर, please pay attention. ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਿਆ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਚੰਗੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੰਗੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ then perhaps we can improve ourselves as well. This is picture of Bhai Jasbir Singh Khalsa by Bikramjit Singh. दो अमृतधारी नौजवान who live in France. In I think I forgot, is it 2004 or 1 minute I forgot, there was the Star band. The Star the band rather, I think it was 2004 if I remember, on the Star. You're not any religious symbols at school or any education institute. To see na koi dharmik chinn nahi pa sakte school. So these children, they were doing their A levels. I don't know what is equivalent. I think it's like your 12th grade exams before going to university. Even before they're going to university, they're going to do their exams. So imagine for 2 years they've been revising, inna kaam kita, booka pariyan, inna himmat kiti, bade ashar guru ke sikhya. And you know when they got to the exam board, they were hard pade. They said, sorry, you're not allowed in. You can't come in. Why? 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 If you want to take your exam, take off your dastar, take off this, and nange sar exam do. Oh, kande asi dastar hi nahi. Kande if you're not taking dastar, then you can't do the exam. It's the new law of the land that no one can sit exam in the hall with other students with the dastar. You were not allowed in school with the dastar. And aap kahi मैं एक बारी मैं कैंप पे गया, फ्रांस गया. एक बच्चा केस धारी सी केस से तो नेक्स्ट टाइम मैं फ्रांस गया वो बच्चे ने बाल कटा देते मोटा बन गया मैं किसी ने सियाने ने पूछा यार शायद मैं अपनी मां को पूछा asked his mom ਇਹਦੇ ਵਾਲ ਵੀ ਕਟਾਏ you know she said ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਾਲ ਕਟਾਉਣੇ ਪਏ ਜੇ ਪੱਗ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੇਸ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਪੈਣੀ ਸੀ my god have you totally forgotten your history पढ़ नहीं देता तानू सानू तो जीवन नहीं देता तुम पढ़ने की गल करते हैं read your history you weren't even allowed to live let alone study you are boiled alive you are scalped alive you are sworn alive you are burned alive and then आज just for the sake of going to school they took their dastar off एक बच्चे नंगे सर जाते स्कूल and other children उन्हें बाल कटा के they go to school now France ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ but I want to share the story of these two Gurseks ਇਹ ਦੋ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that जो marji ho jave, we will never take off our dastar. They didn't listen to the world. The world is putting pressure on you. You become like us, conform. They said we're not going to conform. And you know what? I'm going to we're going to get so educated. We are going to show the French government that you cannot take off our dastars and we're going to succeed in life. Bhai Jasbir Singh Khalsa is now, I think he probably is in his final years of doing a medical degree. He's now trained to be a doctor. Doctor ban jana. Bhai Bikramjit Singh now he's an architect. Architect da kaam karte. Mali's kirpa. They didn't go to school. Kar at home they did home study. Kar apne aap par ke ek medicine degree kar diya, dusre architect ban gaya. Mali di kirpa diya. Just want to share one example of those who fought back society. Bhai, this is Bhai Satnam Singh from England. He's a barrister. मैं भी कल शेयर करने बोले वाहिगुरु is everybody with me so far? Have I lost anybody? Are you with me? Not both. Are you with me? Yes. बोले वाहिगुरु अच्छा Bhai Satnam Singh he was a Molna बारहवीं करते से उन्होंने he went to this camp. He was so inspired. Like went to Khalsa camp. He became so inspired. Wow, this is Sikhi dadiya. Okay, मैं Singh ban jana. He's done his law degree. He's done all of his different qualifications. And just as he came back from camp, 2 hafte hoye. It's 2 weeks passed. And by that time, you got stubborn. Stubborn, thodi dari mute aunde. Pending need you can call it beard. And he gets a job interview. Pay attention to this for those people who are unsure whether I should take a step towards Sikhi. On a job interview मिल गई in a big firm in central London ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਕੀਲਾ ਦੀ firm ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ job interview ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਮੂੰਹ ਤੇ ਥੋੜੀ ਦਾੜੀ ਆਈ ਆ ਤੇ ਬਾਲ ਥੋੜੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਲੰਮੇ and he said what should I do now ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਪੱਗ ਬੰਨਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਮੂੰਹ ਤੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਦਾੜੀ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੱਗ ਬੰਨਣ ਜੋਗੀ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ I look a bit odd no you look like a trim ਬੰਦਾ looks odd and he goes that if I go like this ਮੈਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਚੱਲ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ you have not made an effort ਤੂੰ ਤੇ ਉਦਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ you've got a job interview, you look like a scruffy, you look like a tramp. Your hair's long and you haven't bothered shaving. You've not made an effort. So he said he stood on the mirror. Oh, sheeshe de samne khar ke nahi. He had inner battle, apna lade. And eventually he said, shall I go like this or shall I shave? If I shave, I'm going to get the job. And if I don't shave, he said, then they're going to think that I've not made an effort. And they're not going to give me a job because I look scruffy. Eventually, he said, after 1 or 2 hours of fighting with himself, Bhai Sahib said, he said he went to the job interview like he was. Shave nahi ki thi. Udai chal ke. Man soche pata nahi job milni nahi milni. He went to the job interview, he sat down, and before he then even asked anything, puchho to pehla, can I just quickly say something? Yes. Please don't think that I have not made an effort to come to this job interview. My hair is long and I've got this stubble because I'm trying to grow my hair. I'm born in a Sikh family, but I discovered my faith recently. I'm trying to become a Sikh now. For this reason, so I just want to clarify that's why I've done this. I'm going to be wearing a turban and I'm going to be keeping my beard as well. Then said, that's fine. Then did the interview. Bhai said that badi vakeel di firm si kafi bande interview hui utte. And they said the process was in 2 weeks' time. They tell you because they have to go through everybody's interviews, go through checking karniya, then they compare you to the other candidates. Pura matlab ona vera dekhna. He said he just left the building. He just left, and he was just about to enter the underground tube station. He just about to underground train chal diya, and he got a phone call. You haven't left us, have you? You're not too far away. So jala dur to nahi ho gaya. Kehte no, why? Kehte come back. Wapas aa. Then he came back. We just wanted to say that you got the job. We just want to say you got 2 weeks. Kinne bande 2 hafte the waiting process. We just want to say you got the job. Agge gal dhyan na suniyo. The reason why we're giving you this job. Kyun tene job de rahe hai? They said because you have shown so much courage, motivation and determination in today's interview. Do you know how they said? You had enough guts to come to this interview the way you are looking. There is inni himmat si idda de roop de vich utte aa gaya. Any normal person would not give you a job. But the amount of you showing motivation, determination that you're trying to find your faith and be a faithful person, it goes that somebody shows so much motivation, determination in their faith will surely show motivation and determination in this job. And that's why we've employed you. Hey Sikhi, Guru Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Hey, बच्चे खालसा कैंप मिले से इस पैंजी जसलीन को और गुरु के बच्चे गुरु सिख बच्चे हैं शायद भाई साहब को याद है वो ते जो question discussion शाम को क्लास में की सी there was a Khalsa camp there was just recently जिला हुआ in the night time there was a discussion and this young girl I think she must be 8, 9, 8 साल की होनी तब वो पैंजी दस दे टाइम हो गया अच्छा sorry मेरा टाइम हो गया तब sorry माफ करना सांग मेरा टाइम हो गया that this लड़की she comes Benji she goes I want to share something. Kandi har roz menu school munde the Muslim boys say to me become Muslim. Every day har roz mein school jandi Musliman munde milke tu Musliman par 8-9 saal ki kuri. And you know what she said? I said to them, I am proud to be Sikh. I will never give my religion. And I thought, wow, this is Sikhi. That despite the forces around us, you still remain in Chandi Kala. Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. I've got enough time to go through the examples of the Guru Sikhs. मैं स्टोरियों में तो वर्कशॉप तो दस दूंगा मैं आखिर दे एक तो स्टोरी इन ना दस दूंगा एक भाई जरनैल सिंह जर्नलिस्ट everybody know भाई जरनैल सिंह just put your hand up just young भाई जरनैल सिंह you know of him okay try to research what he's done I'm going to try to go through that कदे 84 लाख बार 1984 आ जावे सिख पंथ में कोई नुकसान नहीं आवेगा if 1984 happens to us 8.4 million times it won't affect us it won't destroy us पर जेकर सिख अपना कैरेक्टर छड़ जावे तो समझो पंथ में उस तो बड़ा कोई नुकसान नहीं if a Sikh gives up his character there's no greater destruction which can happen to the panth I mean this is for us to think about where you are Sikhs do we want to be remembered as the jokers, the Pangra dancers, the Daler Mendis, the comedians, Or do you be remembered as the saints, the warriors, the poets, the healers of the world, the people who go in the world and spread peace, the lighthouses of the world? This is what Guru's made you. Guru, why Guru? Why Guru? You have to ask yourselves, what are my actions telling people? If you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, if you're flirting on Facebook, on internet, what impression are you giving? Ki tusi ek basharma di kaum hai, or do you want to give them? Nahi, we aisi kaum hai that we treat other women as our sisters. Main kaal keh ke I'm finished. Main samapti hai. Main promise ki kasi workshop mein share the story. Main kehte hon keh diyo. When I was at work, I shared with one group already. I started working in a shop called Curry's. It's an electrical shop, it's not a restaurant. It's fridge, TV based there. And I was a cashier. When I started the job, when I started my job, I was opening time. I had 5 minutes. My supervisor would be Gorisi, and she was older than me. She was about 35 or so. And she goes, "You're a Sikh, right?" Sikh. Okay, how do you know? Because where I live, there's Sikh. She goes, "Okay, how do you know?" She goes, "Oh, I've seen your religion on the TV. My television to dekha, okay." She goes to me, "We got 5 minutes to opening time." So she goes that, "I just want to say that at lunchtime I'll buy you a burger." At lunchtime, that I'll buy you a burger from the burger van. Matlab a burger keep ke dena at lunch. Then I don't eat from outside. And I don't eat fish, egg or meat. And she goes, "Really? What do you eat then?" And she also did that, you only eat fried aloo or something, that because there's not much else to eat, but she might think. Then she goes, "Okay, after work, I want to buy you a pint." Pint something, now looking you understand pint with a glassy. I will glassy kheed ke deni hai, pub jaake. Then I said, "Look, I don't go to pubs, I sharab nahi peenda, and it's my principle that I don't go and sit next to someone who drinks sharab. Mera sool hai, jehda sharab de mere kol nahi benda." And he goes, "Okay." And then I said, "Oh, as a spiritual, trying to be a spiritual person, we only go to spiritual places." Then she goes, "Okay, still time to kill. Should we go for a fag break?" Fag on the smoking on the cigarette peen. "Fag piye, do you have a cigarette?" So I smoke nahi karta. I don't smoke. "Really? Everybody up to smoke karte hai. Because when you smoke, you get a 10-minute break. 10 minute ka break milti hai. So sare mande I'm going for a break. Smoke karke aa 10 minute baad dobara. So it's a good way not to work really. And wo menu kehndi that, "Are you not going to smoke break? That smoke, I don't smoke." Because wow, 3 minutes left na. Kaim randa si. She goes, "Who's the lucky girl?" Like who? Huh? She goes, "Who's the lucky girl?" Lucky koi nahi. She goes, "You don't have girlfriend? Teri girlfriend hai nahi?" Like meri koi girlfriend nahi. Then she goes, "Who's your ex?" Chalo, tell me your ex's name then. Tell me your ex's name. Teri pichli girlfriend da naam ki hai? When naam meri pichli girlfriend hai, na honi hai. Now we don't have girlfriends. She goes, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, then I see you as in the respect of my sister. Even though you're not sick, I see you as my sister. We see you as a sister or mother. And do you know what she said? This method will end. "Oh, Gori Kandi, my Christian family, I'm born in a Christian family, but I don't believe in this religion. But every day I kneel down and pray to God. Every day I thank God for what He's given me." And she goes, she had tears running out. She had tears running out. And she said to me, the supervisor, she goes, "I am so glad God has made Sikhs in this world. I am so glad God has made Sikhs in this world." And she goes, "Main maan kardi Rab ne Sikh bade is tarah kite." She goes, "Inna ucha sucha jeevan tanu ditta hai Sikhan." She goes, that I am so glad and proud to be working with a Sikh. Mere man se main to kuch kita hi nahi. Ek Guru Nanak di badiyai hai. If you stay away from the budget cares, if you stay from the 4 things, that's only main to kuch naam di gal hu, seva di gal kuch nahi kiti. If you respect Sikhi, the world will respect you. If you don't give a damn about Sikhi, then girlfriend hi rakhni aaya, flirty karna aaya, sharabai peeniya, paade bhangre paune gatre pa ke, then no one on this damn earth will ever respect you. If you want respect, you respect your own Sikhi. Nitnem karna pena tonu. You have to try to live as a Gursikh. You have to try to Amrit Vila. Amrit Vila Nitnem karna pena. You have to keep rare and you have to stay away from the karats. When you respect your Sikhi, the whole world will one day respect you as well. After which, this is why I'm talking about roots, man, only they make the time time when so मैं बाद में कोई मैं workshop कर लूँगा मैं कल there's time सब अच्छा आखिर दे विच इन गरीब सिखन को देव पातशाही Guru has given us kingship like by Bharspeed Singh mentioned this is a woman she's an act celebrity and now this is what she's become. It's for us to realize who we want to become. Do you want to become the tramp or become the king or queen? This is our roots. History, identity, Simran, Amartam, Gurbani. If we have our roots, then we need three things to help the fruits grow. These three things are desire, cha. Cha hona chahiye. Then you devotion. Then you have to, devotion meaning you have to carry on with it. Then discipline. You have to discipline yourself. No, I don't Amrit Vila, Khalsa, then after you don't do Amrit Vila. And if you do these things, this is what Guru promises you'll get. If we stick to our roots. So, Purchi Kima Karni, like Bhai Sarjit Singh mentioned, or Bhai Balpreet Singh ji mentioned, Kash Video Nar, Ajo Jah, if we wake up, nothing has been lost. Now is time we can also wake up as well and we can discover our roots. If we discover who we are, we are proud of who we are, we live as who we're supposed to be, the world will respect you and you'll become a lighthouse in the world. Not only will your life become beautiful, you'll beautify the world as well.